the Intergovernmental Affairs Minister, Dominic LeBlanc, and he joins us on the program right now. Minister LeBlanc, great to have you here. First of all, how damning was the report that it has led to the resignation of Julie Payette?
Evan, we have said from the very beginning, the Prime Minister said it well before he became Prime Minister, that every Canadian has the right to work in a safe, respectful workplace. We heard about these allegations when they became public last summer. We immediately retained an independent third-party group of professionals to do the review. We received that report at the end of last week. There are obviously some very serious and concerning findings in that report with respect to the workplace. And the Governor General informed us last evening that she would offer her resignation, and we received that this afternoon.
Okay. Will the report be made public, Dominic LeBlanc?
Very good question. Obviously, there are a number of concerns with respect to the Privacy Act, which applies to this kind of document, of human resources personnel kind of document. The people who spoke to the independent third-party reviewer did so on an understanding, on a confidential basis. That was the commitment that was made to them by the independent third party. But the access to information legislation requires a version of the report to be made public. We're working on that right away, and it'll be made available quite quickly. But as I say, the details have to be seen in light of the Federal Privacy Act, but also the commitment that the reviewer made to the employees, to the dozens and dozens of employees who asked to be interviewed by the reviewer. But the version that can be made public will be made public very quickly.
Very quickly, as in today, tomorrow, and the next day. Can you give us a sense of what that means?
I wish I could, Evan. I know that the lawyers at Privy Council and the Department of Justice are looking, as I say, at what is appropriate to be released while respecting the Privacy Act. But it certainly won't be days and days. I hope that very soon, in the next few days, that report will be looked at, will be translated, and we can respond to the access to information requests that the government has obviously received.
Did the Governor General offer to resign, or was she told you in the wake of these allegations, the government is asking you to resign, or we will go to the Queen, which is an extraordinary step, and ask that the Queen dismisses her? So how did the government ask her to resign in the wake of these allegations, or did the Governor General herself she obviously knew about all this stuff, and then say, I'm going to resign?
So we had a discussion with Madame Payette about the report, about the contents of the report. And following that discussion, she decided that it would be best for the institution, for the country, that she offer her resignation. And as I say, we received that resignation today. But it followed a discussion we had with her about the report and about the serious concerns that were raised as findings in the report.
How many allegations? Can you give us a sense of the report? How long was it? How many allegations? And were the allegations specifically about her conduct?
Well, so Evan, again, you're asking sort of the same question you did about whether we're going to make the details public. What I can say is the report was extensive. Dozens and dozens of Rideau Hall staff, current staff, but some former staff, and other knowledgeable persons were interviewed by the independent third party. I read the report. It was very, very precise. It was very methodical. And I think it was an important exercise in reassuring all the employees of the Government of Canada that they have a right to work in a safe, respectful workplace. And that obviously applies to Rideau Hall.
Dominic LeBlanc, in a word, if you could, in your word, you've read these allegations. How would you characterize them?
Worrisome, significant. It detailed workplace concerns and a consistency between the different people that were interviewed by the independent agency that did the review. So the findings were robust, and the findings led the Governor General to conclude that it would be best if she offered her resignation, and that's what happened this afternoon.
Did your government, after reading it, did you lose confidence that she was the right person for the job?
I think, Evan, that the conversations with the Governor General were around the report, around the workplace at Rideau Hall. And as I say, she arrived at the conclusion that it was in the interest of the institution and of the office that she depart. And that was what we received today. The Governor General arrived at her own conclusions, I assume having read the report, obviously.
If she had not resigned, and we've heard reports, and Bob Fife is on the show listening in, that she did not want to, she didn't feel that she had a fair shake here, could your government have stood in support of Julie Payette remaining as the Governor General in the wake of this report? Was there any way that she could remain on and your government could have supported her, as the Prime Minister has supported her in the past, in the wake of what you've read in that report?
Well, the Prime Minister only received the report, as I say, at the end of last week. And what we've said, Evan, is that the Governor General offered her resignation after she read the contents of that report. So I think it speaks for itself. We have said consistently that a workplace that is not respectful, that is not safe, that is not healthy, is something the Government of Canada won't contemplate. And that's exactly why the Governor General's decision today, I think, allows the employees at Rideau Hall, the staff who do extraordinary work there, some of whom I've had the privilege of knowing for 25 years, when my father held that office 2.5 decades ago. Some of the people who work there were working there 25 years ago, and those people deserve to have a safe, healthy workplace. And that's exactly what the Clerk of the Privy Council and officials of the Privy Council will be doing in the coming days with all of the staff at Rideau Hall.
All right, just a couple more questions for you, and I know this is obviously a very busy situation for you, but what about Assunta Di Lorenzo, her personal assistant, the secretary? She's also resigned. We understand she's retained counsel. Was she involved in the toxic workplace, and why did she resign as well?
So again, the government has accepted her resignation. I don't think we're in a position to discuss the details of that, other than to say she has resigned. We accepted that resignation today, and we'll be looking to, the Clerk of the Privy Council will be looking to ensure that there's a stable, experienced leadership at Rideau Hall going forward. And that's exactly what he'll be discussing with the employees in the coming hours and the coming days.
What about how fast will your government make an advice to the Queen on a new appointment? Weeks, months? It's a minority parliament. It's a very tricky situation. How quickly will she be replaced?
Yeah, so obviously it's not a question of months, Evan. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Wagner, is able to ensure the constitutional continuity. So the constitutional role can be fulfilled as of tonight by Chief Justice Wagner, and until a successor is sworn in. We obviously haven't turned our attention to the details of how that successor would be recommended to Her Majesty, but we'll have more to say about that in the coming days. But it's not a circumstance that can go on for months and months. So the government will take its responsibility in the coming days.
Will your government now, you skipped over the committee on vice-regal appointments that was established in 2010. You appointed Julie Payette, didn't work out. Will you now continue to let this just be the Prime Minister, or will you return to the arm's-length independent committee to make recommendations?
So we haven't made any decisions with respect to that. Evan, obviously, as I say, we received the Governor General's resignation today. But we recognize the importance of the institution, and we want to recommend an outstanding Canadian to Her Majesty. So the Prime Minister will be making decisions on what is the appropriate process going forward in the coming days. And we'll have more to say about that, I'm sure, next week.
What's your, any thought that you could say it's an urgent situation? Let's go back and ask David Johnston to step in, at least for a year. He's experienced. It's a minority parliament. You've got a budget coming up. Is that possible that you would go back to David Johnston, who served so well as the Governor General, and say, would you come back?
Evan, I don't know if that's a possibility. I agree that the Right Honourable David Johnston was a phenomenal Governor General. He served the country very well. He's currently serving, and I'm working with him in that regard, around the Leaders Debates Commission for a possible general election. So he continues to serve Canadians. He served for a long time. He served extraordinarily well. I agree with you. But I know he and his wife were very much looking forward to having some time with their family and to getting back to their farm. So I don't imagine that Mr. Johnson is interested in returning to the role. But I agree, he did an outstanding job, and the successor should be à la hauteur de David Johnston, because he did a fantastic job.
You know from when your father was the Governor General what it's like inside Rideau Hall for the staff. You know it personally. I guess when you read that report, you must have been gobsmacked. What does your government say to the employees who clearly had to withstand a pretty toxic, damning, very obviously unsafe, to quote the Prime Minister, environment? What does your government say to those employees?
We say that we respect their right to have a safe and healthy workplace. This clearly wasn't the circumstance at Rideau Hall. As soon as these allegations or these circumstances were made public, we took quick action. We certainly recognize the remarkable work that the people who serve at Rideau Hall do for Canadians. Right. Everything from the Orders of Canada to the Governor General's program across the country. These are hardworking, wonderful people who deserve a harassment-free workplace. And that's exactly what Privy Council Office will be ensuring for them in the coming days and weeks.
Was Julie Payette a mistake?
Evan, this obviously is not an ideal circumstance. To have a Governor General leave before the end of her term is not something that anyone would have hoped for. But the Governor General, I think, has made the right decision in deciding to resign, to allow the institution to move forward. So we're looking at what we can do now to work with the employees at Rideau Hall, the people who serve there, but also to ensure that we can recommend to Her Majesty a successor worthy of that office.
Dominic, LeBlanc, I very much appreciate you joining us on an extraordinary day here in Canada. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Evan.